Welcome to Channel 18, and today our guest is Barbara Ann Foley, Director of the Council on Aging. And Barbara Ann has a host of things she wants to talk about, and so we're going to get right to her because she has another appointment.
Thank you, Paul. We've got our Council on Aging board meeting this morning, so I'm kind of in and out. But I did want to let you know about kind of a potpourri of a bunch of little topics. You should be receiving your newsletter any day if you haven't already received it. And it has all of what I'm about to tell you in it, so you don't need to have a pen and be writing things down. But there is a correction. On the front page, we have a very fun wine tasting cheese and chocolate party. Does it get better than that with all those ingredients?
No, it doesn't.
And the beneficiary, if you will, are people with Alzheimer's disease. We have, as most of you know, a walk every summer in May in memory of my dad, and we will be doing that again on May 10th this year. But we decided this year to add at least one and possibly two other events that will bring more money into that fund to help more people. And this is one of them. So it is on Saturday, March 15th at 4:30 at First Crush Winery, which is 527 Main Street in Harwich. And it's $15 a person. The newsletter says $25, which is incorrect, or it's a typo. And it is tax deductible. It's not too often you can go to a wine tasting and have it be tax deductible. But the Friends of the Harwich Council on Aging are kind enough to host this fund for us. And that's why it is, because they're a 501c3. The fund helps people with Alzheimer's in Harwich, Brewster, Chatham, and Orleans. Some folks will say, well, why don't you just say the Lower Cape? But unfortunately, the Lower Cape incorporates a few other towns that aren't part of this yet, anyway. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't know that First Crush Winery is in Harwich. A lot of folks don't know we have a winery in Harwich. If you know where the old industrial park is, if you're really old, some people call it the old Kelly Street. It's now Main Street, and it's right near Factory Road. It's in that industrial park, and it's very cool inside. So I would urge you to come. As I said, the tickets are $15. You can call me if you're looking for information about it, but I did want to correct the newsletter because the amount was incorrect. And I have some really good news. We just finished our very first Balance Boosters class, which is an exercise class that I designed for folks to be able to do sitting in a chair or using the chair.
Sitting in a chair?
Sitting. Well, it's so instead of being standing up and moving around and then tipping over and falling, it's doing all of those same kinds of exercises while you're sitting.
Oh, okay.
And we use a dowel, and we use foam balls and paper plates, and had a lot of fun. We incorporated our community partner, Broadreach Rehab Center, and they did on the first day some testing of everybody, 3 different tests for balance, and then on the last day they did the same 3 tests on everyone again. And I'm happy to report that every single person in the class improved in at least one of those tests, if not all 3. There were a couple that didn't, and we had, a person who had fallen during the class. We had some issues, not physically during our class, but they'd fallen in this lovely snow we've been having at home, and they still came to class, but they were a little weaker. So I would expect that they would have at least one of their tests a little bit slower. But the participants were real troopers. They were very excited, and they did really well. So much so, we're going to be applying for some grants because our data proves that by taking the class that they did, they improved their balance. So we're going to continue that class, and in the newsletter you'll see the next one will be May 16th and end on June 20th. It's another 6 weeks. It's a total, the price you can't beat either. It's a total of $12 for the whole 6 weeks, which is $2 a week. And that's really just to get the supplies, the dowels and the balls and that kind of thing. So if you're interested, I'm mentioning it now, even though it's not until...
and this is, you're going to be sitting down.
Yep.
In this.
The only other positions we do are standing, holding on to the chair. We do some leg stretches. But 90% of it is physically their bums in the chair doing exercise. And
why is that?
Because if you're standing and
no, I mean, it has to be. You have to be sort of chair laden.
No. In fact, we had many people who you probably have seen around here walking around. And that's I'm glad you asked that, because that's one of the really important pieces. A lot of folks think you need to be standing and doing aerobic exercises if you're well enough in order to get any kind of either weight loss or improved balance. And the fact is that with the equipment that we use and the number of repetitions that we do on each exercise, you can get just as good a stretch and improve your balance just as much as if you had done that.
Really?
And we also got the participants realized that you also were able to get your heart rate up a little bit, and they got a little warm.
Wow.
So it was a really great class. They had a lot of fun. We had a person on oxygen in the class. We had some 90-plus-year-olds in the class, and a few. It was 64 to 94 was the age range, which is highly unusual in an exercise class. But everyone had a lot of fun, so much so we're going to do it again. And if you are interested, I would urge you to look at your newsletter and give the center a call. I didn't put the description in. It's been in for 2 or 3 newsletters now. So you can look at an old one, or you can call me if you're curious. But it pretty much is sitting in a chair. Now, if you are a person who is compromised, like the person who had the oxygen, or give us a call and I can let you know the kinds of exercises, and you can decide if it's something that your body can physically handle or not. But a lot of folks that thought they couldn't, could. And I tell people, if it really doesn't work out, we can refund their money, but that didn't happen with anyone.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
yeah, so it worked out really well. Our movie got a little confusing, and I apologize for that. The first time movie day was supposed to restart, this director was ill, and nobody had rented, I'm the one who was supposed to have rented the movie, so I apologize for that. The second time we were supposed to vote on the first time what we were going to have. I could have put it on, but it was a snow day, and the center wasn't open. So we're trying for a third time, maybe the charm, and that's going to be on March 27th at 1:30. So the movie we talked about, which is in the newsletter again, it's not a typo or leftover from last time, it's just because it never happened, is Dolphin Tale. And it's a great story that's nice, clean, fun, sweet, sweet story. Has Harry Connick Jr. and Ashley Judd and Morgan Freeman, great actors and actresses too. So it's free. It's 1:30 on March 27th, and then the next one will be April 25th. It'll be the last Thursday of every month if you're looking for like a date to put on your calendars. And we would really like to hear from you on March 27th. What kind of movies you would like to listen to and see, and maybe even what genre, and we'll mix it up a little bit. The other upcoming to mark your calendars, and again it's in the newsletter so you don't have to be writing things down, is our Girl Power program. I am really looking for some new faces to join us. It begins on May 7th. It runs for 6 weeks through June 11th. And it's only an hour and 15 minutes once a week. And I have to tell you, it makes such a huge difference in the lives of these middle school girls. The reason it's called Girl Power is because we have grades 5 to 8 that are involved from our middle school, and senior women from 60 to 80 who are paired up, and they do some journal writing together, they do some exercise, fun exercise together. When the weather gets warmer, we do some walking outside and learn about healthy eating. We have wonderful community partners. Our Harwich Police Department, for example, comes in and talks about bullying and social media mistakes that you can make, such as giving out your password to friends and things like that. And it works really, really well for both age brackets. So much so, we had one person, my favorite outcome from it is we had one person in the class, a little girl, who sadly had lost her grandmother when we got almost done with the class. And her senior woman that she had been partnered with, the little girl phoned her and said she has a mother who's a single mom, and it was the mother's mother, which was really sad for her. And she said, "I'm so sorry, honey, that this happened. Is there anything I can do?" And she asked her if they could go for a walk. Cool. So she took her down to Red River Beach, and they walked and walked and walked, and the little young girl was able to cry and sort of vent. But the little girl's biggest concern was she said, "I don't know how," we would use the word console, how to help my mom. She hasn't stopped crying. And that's a really important life, thing that happens. And unfortunately it happened, I think she was in 6th grade, to this young girl. but it was complicated because the mother is a single mom, so there wasn't like a dad or an older brother or even at this point an uncle that was in the picture to be able to, help her or console her.
Did this grandmother take care of this little girl while her mother worked? Was
No,
there
but
some
she,
relationship like
maybe
that?
when she was younger, she's a school-age kid, but she was in the home all the time. I mean, she didn't live there, but she was a very big part of her life. So it was a twofold or two-pronged problem. She was grieving herself, and her mother was grieving, and she'd never seen that in her mother, and she didn't know what to do about it. So she instructed her to talk to Sheila House, who's our youth counselor, and my partner with a Girl Power program. And she also walked with her, gave her some wonderful advice, talked about using a journal. The senior woman actually went out and bought her a journal and a really fun girly girl kind of pen. And anyway, the whole point was that she wrote a beautiful note to the senior woman and just said how important and fabulous it was that you were there for me.
That's wonderful.
And I just thought, what a fabulous outcome to come from this really great program. And not because, I designed it, but because I know what it was like in middle school. We called it junior high back then. And how tough it can be with both friends, and girls can be really mean to each other. I don't know if boys were growing up, but they can be. They can be catty. They can be very unkind to one another. And this program really helps them to empower themselves. And I just thought that was such a sweet outcome from the program. So we'll be gearing that back up. You don't have to have any counseling experience. I had someone ask me that about a week or two ago. Just a loving soul, that's all we require, and a COA check. We do a COA check on all of our volunteers. But we would love to have some new faces. And the culmination, you don't have to do this, but what we lead up to in the program is on June 21st, Harwich has a 5K road race. Now, when I say that, I had a number of people go, "Oh, I don't run. What do you mean? I have to run in this program?" And the answer is no, you don't have to run. We walk, the adults walk, and the girls kind of do a little bit of running and a little bit of walking, but it's just like a big culminating event at the end of the program. It's something that we lead up to, and everybody loves it.
How many girls are in this
We can
program?
take up to 15 girls and 15 women. We've averaged between 8 and 10. The first one we had was 21, and it was too big. That was too many people to try and manage. But we are talking about trying to do an April vacation week teaser. So stay tuned for that. I'm still working with Sheila House on that. And if you're interested, that would give you a taste of what it would be like. It's a little bit different during that week because it's jam-packed and all in one week instead of 6. But if you're interested, please call me and I can tell you more or show you pictures. We have a lot of fun in the program. The last two things I want to tell you about, excuse me, are just to mark your calendar when you get the newsletter. We're having a pre-planning seminar with the cemetery department. I know that sounds terrible, but it's on June 9th, and it's one of those topics that nobody wants to talk about, sort of that big elephant in the room. Have you planned your funeral? Have you paid for it? Do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried? What are the costs of those things? Do you have a will? All of those sort of end-of-life questions. And sometimes we wait until it's too late or until somebody's mind is not 100% anymore and they can't make those proper decisions. So we're not asking you to make the decisions on that day. We're just asking you to come and get information if you haven't done this already. And we will be having the cemetery department and a number of really great speakers that can give you information on each and tell you why you should pre-plan cremation versus traditional burial, some faiths that allow one versus the other, etc., and get all of your questions answered. And then you can take that information and either go back to family, or if you're already satisfied with what you want to do, start doing your, getting your things paid for and planned, so that you don't get to the end of the road, as they say, and have nothing done, and then have your kids or your family have to do it. So cemetery department always does a really great job, and that's on June 9th. You'll be hearing more about that on this station, but we're going to be 9 o'clock in the morning in the multi-purpose room with that program. And last but not least is our partners, community partners, Home Instead, are going to do a reschedule. There was another snow event. I think we've had like 10 things canceled because of the snow. Thursday, March 27th at 9:30. It's a 2-hour workshop, and it's free. And I have to tell you, I've taken this workshop before out in the community in other venues, and there's not a hefty fee, but there's a good, I think it was $20 or $25 in other places, not by Home Instead, but other groups. And this is going to be free for you. What it covers basically is activities and encouraging techniques to work with your loved one who you may be a caregiver for. Now that could be everything from Alzheimer's disease to heart issues to you name it. Their focus is usually on people with dementia and memory issues, but it really applies to anybody who's a caregiver. And one of the challenging things, I don't know if you found this, Paul, with your wife or not, but when you are a caregiver in your home versus a facility, you sometimes can feel like you've lost that, in your case, spouse role, in my case, child role, of what you're supposed to do, because now there's another person that's helping to take care of your loved one. And so then what's your role? And that's a really difficult question sometimes. The other issue that can be difficult is when you get challenging behaviors, and that can be something as simple as swearing. If you had a prim and proper mom and then all of a sudden she's swearing like a trooper, or it can be physically acting out, and hitting or hurting, trying to hurt someone. If they have memory issues and they just really don't know what they're doing and they're not purposely trying to hurt. But it gives you techniques, both physical, verbal, what to say with a loved one. And the workshop, I can't say enough about it. It's free for starters. And it's a really, really helpful, hands-on, you leave with a lot of tools for the toolbox.
Mary Ann became totally blind. And as I recall, and there didn't seem to be too much that we could do, but it was a challenge.
I was going to say, that's a challenge and an adjustment that, she wasn't always that way in her life. And so those are things that, if you were a kid today, you'd say, I didn't sign up for this, that you don't know are coming down the pike, or you don't know could be coming down the pike. And one of those things that I say to people is that you don't know what you don't know. So if you can arm yourself with education and get some information from these folks, as I said, it's free. They bring some great refreshments, and learn a few techniques. It may not be for you. It may not be for your husband, brother, sister. It may end up being for a friend down the road that is just, can't come or doesn't want to come or doesn't think it's for them, and you bring the information back to them. So I would urge you to sign up on that March 27th. And that about wraps it up for me.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara Ann. All of that was good information. And we hope that everybody pays attention and will take advantage. So,
and if you don't get our newsletter, please call us and we'll get you a form to fill out and have it sent to you on a regular basis. As you can see, it's pretty jam-packed, it's pretty colorful, and lots of important information that you don't want to miss.
well, thank you again, Barbara.
Thank you.